Did you know that science says when we listen to stories, it helps our imagination grow even bigger? So, close your eyes, listen closely, and let your mind paint the pictures as we explore this magical tale together. Once upon a time, in a small village by the edge of the sea, there lived a kind and curious girl named ELARA. She loved to dream, and her mind was filled with colorful ideas and wonderful adventures. She would often sit by her window at night, staring out at the old lighthouse that stood tall on the cliff, its light shining brightly over the ocean. This lighthouse was special. People in the village whispered about its magic. Some said it could make dreams come true, while others thought it was haunted by the spirits of sailors who had once lost their way. ELARA had heard these stories ever since she was little, but she wasn't scared. Instead, she felt drawn to the lighthouse. Deep down, she believed it held answers to the dreams swirling inside her. One starry night, when the moon hung low in the sky and the wind whispered through the trees, ELARA found herself wide awake. She couldn't stop thinking about the lighthouse. She had always been curious about it, but something felt different that night, as if the lighthouse was calling her. Quietly, she slipped out of her bed, wrapped her favorite red cloak around her shoulders, and tiptoed out of her house. The village was quiet, with only the sound of the waves crashing softly against the rocks. As ELARA walked toward the lighthouse, the path was dark and overgrown, with twisted vines and thorny bushes scratching at her ankles. But she didn't turn back. She felt something pulling her forward, like an invisible string leading her to a great adventure. As she got closer, she could see the old lighthouse towering above her, its stone walls worn by time and the salty sea air. The light at the top spun slowly, casting long shadows across the ground. It seemed alive, like a giant eye watching over the ocean. When ELARA reached the door, she hesitated for a moment. It was made of thick, weathered wood, with strange carvings of sea creatures and ancient symbols etched into it. She traced the carvings with her fingers, feeling the roughness of the stone. Taking a deep breath, she gently pushed on the door, and to her surprise, it creaked open with a low, groaning sound. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of salt and old books. The walls were lined with dusty shelves, filled with maps, star charts, and mysterious trinkets from faraway lands. A spiral staircase twisted upward, disappearing into the darkness above. ELARA's heart raced with excitement, and she began to climb. As she ascended the stairs, she noticed strange things along the way. Paintings of ships sailing through stormy seas, seashells that glowed faintly in the dim light, and lanterns that flickered on their own as she passed. It felt as if the lighthouse was alive, watching her every step. Finally, after what seemed like hours of climbing, ELARA reached the top. She stepped into the lantern room, where the light was brightest. But the light wasn't just any ordinary light. It shimmered and danced like it was made of stars. It felt warm and welcoming, like a cozy blanket on a cold night. ELARA approached the light, and as she did, something incredible happened. The light began to swirl, faster and faster, until it filled the entire room with a soft golden glow. And then, in the middle of the light, ELARA saw something that took her breath away. Her dreams, floating in the air like a magical movie. She saw herself traveling to distant lands, exploring hidden forests, flying over mountains, and sailing across sparkling blue oceans. She saw herself meeting people from all over the world, sharing stories, learning new things, and helping others. Each dream was more beautiful and exciting than the last. But then, the light showed her something else. It showed her challenges, storms that she would have to sail through, mountains she would need to climb, and moments when she would feel lost or scared. But even in those moments, ELARA saw herself pushing forward, never giving up. The light whispered to her, "Your dreams are waiting for you. They are big, but so is your heart. And no matter how hard the journey may seem, you have the strength to make them come true." Tears welled up in ELARA's eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of hope. She realized that her dreams weren't just fantasies in her head. They were real, and she had the power to make them happen. ELARA stayed in the lighthouse for what felt like hours, watching her dreams unfold before her. The light showed her every step of the way, where she would go, what she would learn, and how she would grow. And with each vision, ELARA felt her confidence grow stronger. As the first rays of dawn began to peek over the horizon, ELARA knew it was time to leave. She gently touched the light one last time, feeling its warmth in her fingertips, and made her way back down the spiral staircase. The lighthouse seemed different now, friendlier, like an old friend she had known all her life. When ELARA stepped outside, the world felt fresh and new. The sky was painted in soft pinks and purples, and the sea sparkled in the morning light. She walked back to her village, feeling lighter than ever before, as if the weight of her doubts had been lifted. As ELARA returned to the village, the people could see something had changed in her. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and her steps were filled with purpose. She told no one about the magic of the lighthouse, but she didn't need to. The lighthouse had given her a gift, belief in herself and in the power of her dreams. And so, ELARA began her journey. She traveled to new lands, learned new things, and met new people. Along the way, she faced challenges and storms, just like the light had shown her. But no matter how hard things got, ELARA always remembered the lighthouse and its glowing light, reminding her that she could do anything she dreamed of. Years later, ELARA became known far and wide for her adventures. She inspired others to follow their dreams, just like she had done. And whenever she returned to her village, she would gaze up at the lighthouse, knowing it had been the start of her incredible journey. The lighthouse still stood tall on the cliff, its light shining as brightly as ever, waiting for the next dreamer to come and discover its magic. But ELARA's journey wasn't over. The lighthouse had more secrets to share, and soon, it would call her back for an adventure unlike any she'd ever known. What happened when she returned? Join me in the next part to find out.